And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I am well, Eric. I hope that you had a good weekend. Your event on Saturday. I trust everything went well.
Huge night.
Great.
Huge record-breaking
Fantastic.
night. All because Alex was with me. That's the reason why.
Good luck charm in many ways.
No question about it. We'll dive into the Broncos game in just a second. But first, if you are looking to watch college football this season, the NFL this season, Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC, the only place that you should really consider watching games. I was just there on Friday night with the family, watching the Colorado game. Wasn't much of a game, but the experience at Sportsbook, always outstanding. We had great food, outstanding drinks. The place was packed. The service was still really on top of things. And if you're looking to watch the Broncos on a Sunday, this is your place to watch it. They have a jersey giveaway during every Broncos regular season game at each location. They have Coors Light, and other great drink specials. They have a giveaway day coming up for a pair of tickets at the Greenwood Village location. And don't forget, they are going to be opening up a new location in Parker coming soon. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill, my favorite sports bar, my neighborhood sports bar. Go check them out. Time now for The Lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
I think a lot of people are going to say the Broncos lost because Will Lutz missed a field goal. Others would say Tillman's penalty on the missed field goal before the game-winning field goal is the reason why they lost. By the way, it's Tillman, not Uwazurike. Mike McGlinchey was asked about that in the locker room, and to me, he was the voice of reason for all fans out there. When asked about losing because of one play, he said, "I think that's bullshit. One play doesn't define a football game. That's just not how football is played." Do you want to just get this out of the way right now? Because I've been preaching this for decades. I understand if Tillman doesn't get called for leverage, the Broncos win the game. But there were so many other opportunities in which they had to win the game.
Yeah, I mean.
And it shouldn't have come down to that.
I mean,
it really shouldn't have.
No, the Broncos were outgained. They were gashed defensively. Indianapolis didn't punt, and the Broncos still should have won the game, right? I mean, they had multiple opportunities down the stretch that if they had made just one play, just one of four plays, let's say, they would have won the game. Bo Nix doesn't throw the interception, albeit with 11 minutes left, but they are on their way to putting points on the board there,
right,
out ready to make it an 8-point game again, basically two-possession game. And then obviously the missed field goal. But they also didn't stop them either time.
No.
Indianapolis got points. And then obviously on the leverage play, the leverage play was, and the penalty, first of all, the call was the right call. I really thought it was the right call at the right time. It was an unfortunate call, but it was the correct call. My thinking on that is, the guy's kicking a 60-yard field goal. Probably, make your effort at the line of scrimmage, but if he makes it from 60, you tip your hat and go on to another day. Chances are he's not going to make it from 60, and he didn't make it from 60. But anyway, they just didn't execute in any of those situations. If you take care of any of those three situations the right way, you win a game. But if you take care of 4 or 5 situations before that, you're not even in a position for those three things to matter.
Do you think the Broncos were the better team on the football field yesterday?
Well, no, I didn't.
Neither do I. And that's what's, Bruce, that's what's so interesting. The narrative is the Broncos blew the game. And while that is 100% true, I think the Colts overall were the better team start to finish.
Yeah, they were the better team, but they shouldn't have been the winning team. So, and I think the two can be, I think you can operate in the same space.
Yeah.
The Broncos should have won that game, period. That doesn't mean they were the better team, because I don't think they were the better team.
Neither do I.
I mean, the Colts still haven't punted this season. The Broncos were gashed for just short of 500 yards. Defensively, I mean, look, this offense didn't do what they needed to in the fourth quarter, but they still scored 28 points. I mean, if you and I had been told that on Friday, hey, we're going to give you guys 28 points, we'd have been walking out of there with the Broncos win. Didn't happen.
The Broncos were 1-6 in one-score games last year. They lost this game in the fourth quarter through a series of unfortunate events. Having the ball inside the Colts' 30-yard line twice, coming away with nothing, partly due to an interception, partly due to penalties that were not necessary. The defense, I don't know how many. I mean, watching that game for the Broncos defensively, I'm guessing most people at home were thinking, am I really watching what I think that I'm watching?
Yeah, right.
For as much as we have pumped up, and rightfully so, how good this Broncos defense can be, they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop a sneeze.
No.
Even if they tried.
No.
You know, how many times in a game do you have a quarterback that throws for over 300 yards and a running back that runs for over 150 yards?
Yeah.
There were no answers on so many different levels. My concern now is, have they truly learned how to win yet? And I don't mean that
I know
in a general sense.
Right.
What I'm saying is, when they have an opportunity to put their foot on somebody's throat, they made mistakes in special teams. They made mistakes defensively. They made mistakes on offense. They made mistakes with coaching. All of it combined, and you're really wondering, are they ready for prime time, meaning the playoffs? I know we're only 2 games into the season, and I get it. And yes, they won a one-score game against the Titans. The Colts, I don't want to say look to be for real because we're only 2 games in.
Yeah.
But honestly, this was more of the same from last year. And you really wonder if they have taken that next step.
Absolutely. Through 2 games, I think that that's a very reasonable and logical conclusion or question to be asked. And until they prove it, I think that we'll continue to ask that question. I mean, yes, there is merit in being in a position to win a football game when you haven't played your best football. Eric, if they just play clean football yesterday, just clean football,
yeah,
they win the game. Really, probably not without much question, right? I mean, they defensively, at least they were holding them to 5 field goals, but, you know, they didn't make a stop. And Indianapolis was 3 of 16 on third down. They did basically what they wanted to do, except on 2 big fourth down plays when the Broncos defense looked like the Broncos defense that you expect, and they turn good field position back over to the offense, but the offense can't do anything with it. So they haven't even been clean in 2 games, and they haven't played at a high level in 2 games. They did defensively. They had a unit play at a high level in the game against Tennessee. Offensively, they were certainly improved yesterday, but no points in the fourth quarter when you had opportunities on the right side of the field to score points. So at the end of the day, they're 1-1 with plenty of questions.
When you look at this one particular stat, the Colts were 2 of 6 from the red zone. That could be seen as a positive.
Sure.
And that can be seen as a negative. The Colts were in the red zone 6 times.
They lived there.
They did. And it wasn't because of a whole bunch of turnovers and miscues. They were a bunch of 50, 60, 70, 80-yard drives. And I'm like, you know, I'm not crazy about the phrase bend but don't break. I think it's just don't let him there. How's that? What do you mean you're bending, but you're not breaking?
Well, how about get off the field?
You let him control the clock. Yeah. You let them control the game offensively because they had the ball so much. I don't have the final numbers on, maybe you do, on time of possession, but it seemed like when the Colts needed to move the ball, they certainly moved the ball. And oh, by the way, and we'll get into this, I'm wondering, I don't think this would be a smart decision by any offensive coordinator moving forward, but the myth of Pat Surtain and I say myth, don't throw at the guy. And it's not like the Colts are loaded with a whole bunch of great wideouts. People might start throwing at Pat Surtain a little bit more. Even though his coverage was very, very good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Daniel Jones was not afraid.
No.
Pittman wasn't afraid. Loveland wasn't afraid. Nobody seemed to be afraid of the big, bad defensive player of the year. And it's not his fault. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing a little bit more of that.
Well, I think that you'll certainly see. I mean, if I'm LA and they're in Vegas tonight, finishing off week 2, I'm looking my chops to run the ball against that defensive front. If yesterday was any indication, right? Now, they were pretty good against Pollard in Tennessee the week before, but that's a football team that has now lost 8 straight games dating back to last year. Tennessee, I'm talking about. The Rams beat them up pretty well yesterday in Nashville. You got to get off the field, Eric. And that defense got off the field in 2 places on 4th down. Did their job,
Yep.
Tip of the helmet, etc. But the rest of the day, they could simply not get off the field. And look, they won with defense in week 1. They might have lost with defense in week 2. Might have. Certainly special teams didn't help them.
Right.
You get 1 play out of special teams, you win a game. But I'm not putting it on Will Lutz either. You know,
No.
I mean, that's not what I'm doing. It's you win and lose together. There are 3 phases of the game, and you've got to be able to make plays in all 3 phases of the game in timely fashion. They have not been able to do that very consistently over the first 2 weeks.
Everybody owns this loss in that locker room, but the lion's share goes to the defense this time.
Yes.
No, I mean, that's
Yes, I agree. Totally. Absolutely.
That's not an unfair statement at all. I guess my real question is this. I know we're only 2 weeks into the season. Is the Colts offense really that good? Or maybe have we completely overvalued this defense?
I will give credit where it's due. They continued to impress me. Man, Jonathan Taylor, old father time, just keeps on rolling. He looked absolutely fantastic yesterday. And you know what? I'll give Daniel Jones some credit. You know, Eric, he stood in there. He handled pressure generally.
Yep.
Broncos did not get to him save for once. I think Sternad was the only one that got a sack yesterday. There were pressures, but he seemed to handle it well. Their receiving core, while not spectacular, certainly was steady yesterday. Pittman is a capable guy. They got Warren is a really nice player. We knew that. That's a good-looking football player.
He's better than really nice.
Yes,
he's better than really nice. He is going to be challenging Brock Bowers for what Bowers did last year.
I agree. He is a very intriguing talent. So I don't know how far I would go with the Colts. They've played 2 home games. Now, but I will pay attention to them certainly, and they got my attention yesterday. Having said that, we will come back to this at least on Monday. Broncos should have won the game.
With that, when you watch an NFL game, and we saw this over the course of how many years, the graphic of the quarterback carousel.
Right.
Okay. Well, now we're going to be talking about something else, which we have been talking about for years and years and years. The name Danny Trevathan. The Broncos haven't had a linebacker who can cover tight ends or running backs since Danny Trevathan. Warren ate him up. Doesn't look like he can cover tight ends. I don't know if Dre Greenlaw is the answer. Hasn't been on the field yet. They don't have anyone, seems with any consistency, to cover running backs. We could talk about the 165 yards for Jonathan Taylor on the ground. He had 50 yards worth of catches.
Yep.
Okay. And then Warren certainly did his thing. Is this a personnel thing with all of these great players all over the field defensively? or is it a schematic thing?
Well, it's probably there's
A
a
little
fair
bit of
share
both.
there's a fair share of scheme there, though, because you do have cover guys. So how many cover guys do you play with? I mean, are you going to play with nickel as your base? Are you going to be nickel and a half and play dimes on occasion where you have, instead of 5, you actually have 6 defensive backs in the game? You better figure out how you're going to use Jahdae Barron covering.
Right.
I didn't think that he had a particularly good game yesterday. Certainly not like he did at times in the first game against Tennessee. That's
Right.
okay. You know that's going to take a little time, and he deserves some grace. He's played 2 games, for goodness sakes. But you got to figure out his identity and how you use him. With Alex Singleton and Justin Sternard, who we thought, Sternard in particular, was a better cover guy than he is because he played safety at Wake Forest coming into this. You thought that he was going to be a pretty good cover guy. Not sure that he is a very good cover guy, even though he's long and he moves fairly well. For whatever reason, he was not in great position to defend yesterday. Now, what we're talking about is inside linebackers who generally defend tight ends and running backs. So that's what we're talking about right here. Dre Greenlaw was, and the metrics prove this, his last full season, a top 4 defender as an inside linebacker. They need him to be a good cover guy. My guess is that he will be back at practice this week, and we may see him Sunday in LA at SoFi against the Chargers. But yeah, you're right, Eric. Warren was a problem, and Taylor was a problem, and not just Taylor running the ball, but receiving the ball as well. That's something or other they have got to tighten up. But my God, is there an echo in here? And is it a 9-year echo? Because we've been saying that for a long time. It was not a good day for the defense yesterday, period.
I mean, if you're going to game plan for certain guys, with all due respect to Daniel Jones, you're not really game planning for him, although we understand he's the quarterback. 2 guys to game plan for. 1, a rookie who's played 1 game, already showed he can play in Warren. Game plan for him. Of course, you game plan for, the running back,
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And apparently that game plan was non-existent.
Yeah. How much did they miss Malcolm Roach yesterday? I watched one like 13 or 14 yard inside zone run, and I'm thinking, damn, man, where in the hell is Malcolm Roach?
Let me tell you something. If you're going to say we lost a game because we didn't have a rotational guy in there.
I didn't say that. I just said in that situation, it would be nice to have more of a plug in the middle. They were not good up front yesterday. Period.
And what seemed to be stunning to me was, or maybe, just maybe, the Colts offensive line is that good because the pressure that they were putting on Daniel Jones almost seemed to be non-existent. For a team that pressure, I mean, Nick Bonito had 9 pressures in 1 game in the opener against Tennessee. I don't know what the numbers suggest, but did the Broncos have 9 total pressures in yesterday's game?
Maybe. Nick Bonito probably had 3 or 4, maybe. But no, it just wasn't that kind of day. They were not getting to him. The Colts protected, and he did.
But here's the other thing, Bruce. Not only did they protect him, Sean Payton said it at halftime. They're passing more than we thought that they were going to pass. Well, they continued to pass in the second half too, and you still couldn't dial up any pressure either.
Well, you couldn't stop him passing, and you couldn't stop him running. I mean, what's left? I mean,
that's a good point. I never really thought. Why did they have another option that they capitalized on? That I'm
trying to sit here and think. What I mean, you're running out of things to stop, and you can't stop any of them. Here's what you hate. You hate having to think, well, I'll give the defense a mulligan because we've seen them, this group be good, and we'll see this group be good again. The thing that irritates you about yesterday, you get 17 chances to win football games in this league, And when you have chances like you had yesterday,
Yep.
you win the game multiple times and you can't cash in. One of those 3 times that we already talked about. I would say that there were probably 4 times in that game in the last 11 and a half minutes that if you just make one play, you win the football game.
Let me give you.
They weren't able to do it.
Let me give you one benign, in theory, mistake that turned out to be huge. Troutman with a face mask.
Yep.
Seems kind of benign. It's just one play. But you have Dobbins run the ball down to the 20.
Yeah.
Foolishly, he celebrates, knocks him back to the 25. Next play, Troutman, 15-yard penalty. I'm not blaming it on Adam Troutman.
Right, of course.
First of all, it's hard to say anything negative about Adam Troutman.
Yeah.
Because he's such a good guy. I never want to criticize him, but, it was a mistake. It is what it is. Now you're back to the 40-yard line suddenly. You keep that ball at the 20, it's a whole different set of play calls probably.
Play selections are different. Absolutely. Right. You're in the red zone and you're doing all kinds of different things. Even with that, they were still in a good position. And the Colts got a pressure on Bo Nix, who was pretty damn good yesterday. I mean, for all of the wondering on week 1, Bo Nix was not the problem yesterday.
No.
Really? Bo Nix performed well. He did Bo Nix kinds of things with an 18-yard run to keep a drive going on 3rd and 4. He made an unbelievable play, peeling away from pressure to hit Troy Franklin on a great second pattern by Troy Franklin. By the way, he was a check down hot kind of receiver that ended up moving up the sideline to find space. That is knowledge of your quarterback, man. And Troy Franklin had 8 catches yesterday for 80-plus yards and a touchdown. Maybe one of the good things coming out of this game yesterday are the Broncos, because Cortland Sutton didn't do a damn thing yesterday. What, 1 catch for 6 or 8 yards or something like that?
He was targeted. He was targeted 4 times.
Right.
Okay.
And that was it.
One of those targets turned out to be the interception.
Right.
But honestly, and maybe injury has something to do with it, very well could have. But for as much as Cortland was a non-factor, where the hell was Evan Ingram? Just don't dress him then if he can't play.
Yeah.
Because he was the non-factor of non-factors.
You're right.
The joke in the opening 2 weeks of the season has been on everyone. Evan Ingram, from what we saw in training camp, is not a joker. He's a joke, not as a person, not as a player, but in terms of using that term joker, I haven't seen anything in 2 weeks, even though he was injured for part of the Titans game. And for all I know, he was injured and maybe they wanted to use him as a decoy a little bit, but then give somebody else a chance.
Yeah, I would agree. We haven't seen anything that indicates any prowess in the joker regard with Evan Ingram to this point. But I loved what we saw from Troy Franklin. I thought Troy Franklin was a mature route running pass receiver. He can pick up yards after the catch. He's got good speed and quickness. And he obviously has a very good connection with Bo Nix. They've got to find it. They've got to have a true number 2 guy. And, Marvin Mims obviously was really good on the touchdown. That was a great route and a great throw on the first drive. But, man, I tell you what, Eric, we continue to see things from Troy Franklin that are pretty damned intriguing. I'll leave it at that. I'm not ready to say to anoint him as that he can be your number 2 guy.
He is your number 2 guy.
But I think he's showing those types of signs right now.
No, he is your number 2 guy. Yeah. And your number 1 guy, unfortunately, was a non-factor in the game. And your much ballyhooed tight end, who was probably hobbled, wasn't a factor as well. I mean, when they threw the ball early to Pat Bryant, I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Let's see what Pat Bryant can do. And then they went completely away from him. I mean, at the end of the day, we should not be dogging on the offense. The defense was the major problem. Special teams, for the second week in a row, had one huge mistake.
Yes, egregious. Right.
One was the penalty, and last week it was kicking to a guy who returned it 71 yards on you.
Absolutely. Well, they had a bad kickoff again yesterday, one that got all the way out to the 41-yard line, and they missed a field goal that was a potentially game-winning play. So, everyone has plenty of – Sean said it yesterday. It's not going to be a pleasant day watching the tape. And we hear Sean at 10 o'clock, and I'm sure he's going to echo that. This was an opportunity that just – and really for the – reasons that you talked about at the beginning of the show. How much has this team really grown up in terms of being able to finish the deal in close games? Good football teams win games like yesterday. Period. Good football teams win games like yesterday. I'm not going to debate that Indianapolis wasn't the better team, but the winning team should have been the Broncos. Good teams win those games, period.
Coming up after the break, Sean Payton did learn his lesson. What was it? That's next.
Spice up your next night out at Nola, Jane, and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of October 24th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, phenomenal promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Sean Payton said following the win over the Titans, I need to call a better game. We need to run the ball more. That's exactly what he did, and we saw the results of running the ball more effectively and being committed more to the run made Bo Nix look terrific. I mean, when they had 21 points, if I would have said to you before the game, the Broncos will have 21 points on the board by halftime, you wouldn't even watch the game because you're thinking, how many would they win by?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing with give me 28 for the game. I mean, if I thought the Broncos were going to have 28 points on Friday, I would have said that's a win, period. 3 touchdown passes, but they were all set up with the run. And I'm glad that you mentioned that this morning, because they had 24 running plays, 30 passing plays. That's the kind of balance this offense has the best chance to shine with. And I like both Dobbins and Harvey. I think that they are going to be real problems as this season continues to go on if Sean stays committed to running the football. That offense was what? 60% better, 50% better than they were in week 1. Even more than that, you can make an argument. That looked like the type of offense that Sean Payton and Bo Nix want to have.
At the risk of taking anything away from the Broncos looking considerably better on offense, the Colts didn't have their starting 2 cornerbacks either.
Okay.
Well, that is a big
deal.
This
is the NFL. It's next guy up, go play. I mean, you do the same thing if it was the Broncos. It's the nature of the beast. So, 28.
Well, hold on a second.
But 28 points has nothing to do with whether or not they should have won. If you got 28 points, I don't care how you got them. You win the game then it becomes a defensive issue. This game wasn't offensive. If the Colts were disabled by not having 3 starters because they were missing a guy up front too, okay, that's fine. The bottom line is it's the Broncos defense that didn't get their job done. Having said that, the offense had 2 opportunities to just put points on the board in the fourth quarter to close this game out. And even though they had scored 28 in the 3 quarters previous, they weren't able to answer the call when they needed to.
How much you putting on Vance for this? For the scheme. They knew that Taylor was going to be a problem. They knew that Loveland was going to be a problem. I understand that the Colts ran it up against a Miami team that isn't very good, but there was enough on tape, 7 series specifically against the Miami Dolphins, in which they scored every time. They extended that streak to 10 before the Broncos eventually stopped them. But it seemed as if with all that talent on the field that we believe is all that talent on the field, they didn't have answers throughout the entire game.
Yeah, they just couldn't make stops. So, and I'm not going to go against the scheme. I think the scheme is probably good. It was the execution of it. You got to tackle guys.
Yep.
And
you can't blow coverages.
Exactly.
And there are plenty of them as well. And I know it's only game 2, but you would think that they wouldn't have blown so many coverages.
Yeah, they had some blown coverages. Daniel Jones did fit it into some tight spots. I'll give him credit. I'll give him
sure did.
props, man. I mean, I thought the guy was pretty good. Pat Surtain still covered pretty well. There was a couple of balls that were like, damn,
tight coverage.
How did he even catch that ball? You got to tip your hat to the other guy who was always trying. But my guess is that this was more of you got to execute the scheme than the scheme not being very good. Because, Eric, you know damn good and well that those guys were tweaking the scheme all game long. They just could never come up with an answer. They had 60 minutes of questions. They didn't have 30 seconds of answer.
Yeah. Special teams. Any concern?
Yeah. I mean, how can you with a straight face say that there isn't concern when you've had 2 potentially game-changing plays that special teams has given up in each of the first 2 weeks? Got away with it in week number 1, didn't get away with it yesterday. You got to have consistency in your special teams, and the Broncos just do not have it right now, period.
I look at this team overall. I know we're 2 games into it. You're not going to win a Super Bowl in September.
Mm-mm.
I get it, but I will go back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is the Broncos had their opportunities. This became a fourth quarter game, and there were mistakes littered all over the field like challenge flags.
Yes.
Everywhere. And the concern is, if you're going to talk Super Bowl and you have the opportunity to close multiple times and you can't slam the door, I don't think it's from here down. I think it's here up for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, all of the cliches were there yesterday. Everyone takes a part of that loss home with them, one way or the other. We all have things to improve upon. And it is week 3. And you're right. You don't lose a Super Bowl in week 2. I get it. But you get 17 chances to win games. And when that one is on the table and it's all you have to do is grab it and you don't have the capacity to do it, that is an issue. It is. It's an issue. And the Broncos, to me, are still very much in prove it territory, right? Fine. You can. I don't have a problem with talk about Super Bowls and aspirations, and there are elements that you look around and you think, okay, I guess I can see that if I squint hard enough. I can see that from the Broncos. Need to see a hell of a lot more of it. And you know what? They played 120 minutes of football, so they're going to get but hey, they're on the road now as an underdog this week, going to LA, an early underdog. We'll see how the Chargers do tonight. But, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the Broncos' lack of execution has far outraced their consistency so far in these first 2 weeks of the season.
I did not add it up, but when they forced the turnover on 4th down at the 50-yard line, I mean, how many mistakes did we see? Okay. How many mistakes do we see? Dobbins penalty, Troutman penalty, interception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Long Jonathan Taylor run, which it looked like it was a scene out of Keystone Cops, right?
Yeah.
And then you had more mistakes. Then you had Lutz missing the field goal. And by the way, Shane Steichen did everything he could to give away that game. That was a Nathaniel Hackett called game at the end in which, hey, I tell you what, we'll settle for the 60-yard field goal for a guy who has never kicked a 60-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Steichen did everything he could to gift wrap that for the Broncos. And to your point, you said at the top of the show, it was the right call.
Yeah.
It was the right call. You cannot push down on somebody else's back.
You can't use others as a form of propulsion to push yourself off and defend. And I wonder, I just wonder if that was communicated before, because that's a 60. My deal is, why are you doing anything like that on a 60-yard field goal? Put that on the foot of this young kid to make a 60-yarder. You know damn good and well his range was only in the 52, 53 in warmups. You have people charting that. Hell, Kevin Harlan was talking about it on the broadcast. It's one of the first things that I do when I go to the stadium every Sunday. I watch where the kickers are kicking from. Yep. I check the atmospheric conditions, of which there were none at Lucas Oil Field, but then you check their range. But be that as it may, it doesn't make it heat of the battle. The moment, I totally get it. You're trying to make a play to help your team win. I'm not getting on Tillman for that, but it's all things that you've got to tighten up. And I think that's probably the conclusion of where you and I are this morning. There are some hopeful things that you see with this football team, but my God, there's a lot of tightening up that needs to be done. From a defense that was great in week 1, that got about a D in week 2, to an offense that wasn't very good in week 1, was pretty damn good for 3 quarters in week 2, but then all of a sudden disappeared in the 4th quarter. What do we say? You've got to win close football games, which the majority of games in the NFL are. You've got to win in the 4th quarter.
And they all made mistakes.
All of them.
Every facet
Absolutely.
of the game.
That's right.
It wasn't just Lutz. It wasn't just Tillman. Never should have come down to Tillman.
Nope.
You can make the case. Never should have come down to Lutz. Although I don't think it's unfair to say it shouldn't have come down to him. That's what he is asked to do.
That's what he gets paid for.
Correct.
And that's and look, I couldn't even kick the ball 42 yards, let alone make a field goal from 42 yards.
No. Don't
70,000 people.
No.
But here's my point. My point is this. That's what you're on the field to do. You're on the field 4 or 5 times a game.
Right.
Get your ass out there, and that's a chip shot for him from 42 yards with no atmospheric conditions.
Right.
You're just dealing with the pressure of the moment. Will Lutz has made loads of pressure-filled kicks. He's a big-time kicker. That's got to be a good kick, period. 42 yards in that situation should be an average kick for him, period.
In the 4th quarter, they had the opportunity to take the lead by 8 twice.
Mm-hmm.
And neither time it happened. That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.